Hello, end users, and welcome to the show. I'm Clarence.
And I'm Lisa.
And this is the End User Report. In today's show, everybody on the planet seems to be mad at Netflix. Sony throws its hat into the tablet ring, and Lisa has something to say about HTC. But before we start the show today, because it has been a long time since we've really done anything, and we do apologize for that. I had went into some health issues, and that's pretty much all I really want to say about it. But we're back now. Going to be casting a lot more frequently. Look for us every week. But let's get started into the show here. And we're going to start this with probably what was one of the biggest news stories last week, and it's continuing into this week. And just about, again, everyone on the planet seems to be pissed at Netflix because what they have done now is they're changing their pricing model. The streaming and DVD by mail plans are actually going to be two separate plans now. They're going to run you $7.99 each, and that's for one DVD by mail. So if you're one of those people who had the streaming service and you were getting one DVD by mail at a time, you're not going to have to pay $50.98 for the same service. And this is going to go into effect for your current subscribers as of September 1st. Unfortunately, for new subscribers, the change is immediate. So, what are your feelings on that?
It sucks, granted, but you can't really be surprised. First of all, it's what happens when you run into a little business practice called monopolization. And that's what Netflix did. When you started seeing your local Hollywood Video, your blockbusters closing down and being up for sale, that's usually a good sign of things. What happened is that Netflix was smart. I mean, they catered very quickly to college kids who just wanted to be able to watch Van Wilder at a moment's notice, who didn't have time to go to the local Blockbuster because they didn't have a car and they were afraid about getting mugged. Plain and simple. If you live in an urban campus area, chances are you don't want to walk to Blockbuster at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday. You may end up dead, especially if you're a female. This is me speaking from experience. Go Seton Hall. You were in the ghetto. Furthermore, though, I mean, again, it can't really come to too much of a surprise to the people who have Netflix. Your local cable company is going to charge you around about $5 to rent a movie now. That's consistently gone up. I know my local Blockbuster, before they shut down shop, was charging $5.99 a movie. Those sweetheart deals they used to do of buy two movies, get one free had gone out the window. Of course, the no late fees thing had been amended. Everyone's scrambling to catch up to Netflix. It didn't happen, and so Netflix said, you know what? We've got two types of customers. We've got the ones who are strictly watching our stuff on their Blu-ray players, on their computers, and then we have the traditionalists who have to have a disc in hand. You know what? Sometimes you have to choose one or the other in life.
That's true. I'm going to go out and start and say, well, first of all, I'm not canceling my Netflix subscription. Okay, I do streaming only. My price isn't going to change. I do want to say, I agree with some of the stuff that you said as far as Netflix being smart in one respect. That's with the streaming, but the problem now is by making this change, they're trying to push everyone into streaming, and right now, DVDs aren't quite dead yet. It's getting close, but they're not quite dead yet. Here's the thing. There's two things that I think happen when you charge more for the same service and you don't add anything. Firstly, you get the backlash. You get those, discussion board guys. Oh, I'm canceling my service, and all that. You get those knee-jerk reactions. The second thing is, in your customer's mind, your product loses value. And earlier you said Netflix was smart. They were smart in that respect of streaming, but they weren't very smart in how they executed this. I think this is poorly done by Netflix. I get that they have to pay more for their streaming now, and I get that the cost of DVD by mail is very expensive. I get that their cost of running their business has gone up, But to me, that doesn't justify essentially a 60% increase in their price. And I think what you're going to see here is people are going to start looking for those other options there. Like you said, people don't like going to Blockbuster, but you know what? People after this will probably go out, they'll go to Redbox, they'll get their dollar rentals, or they'll sign up for Amazon streaming service, which I believe is something in the neighborhood of $79 for the whole year. So I think by Netflix doing this and pushing this the way that they have, if it was more of a gradual thing, I think people would be more accepting to it. But now I think they've kind of opened the door to those other services. And so for all you people out there who are really upset with Netflix and you have your heart set on canceling, check out cnet.com. They have a list of, I believe it's about 9 Netflix alternatives. So keep your eyes open, folks.
Yeah, and just one side point to add, of course, is if you're always that angry and you start enough of a revolution going to any of those other 9 sites, I wouldn't be surprised if you see, come 6 months from now, that Netflix tries to sweeten the deals, so to speak, with existing customers that they may have lost with a let us woo you back, so to speak, in some capacity.
I don't know about that.
Smart.
I think it has to get a lot worse than that. And people, one thing to keep in mind, the name of the company is called Netflix. They're not trying to mail you DVDs. They want you watching their stuff over the internet. They want to stream your stuff. They don't want to do the DVD by mail. I think it's expensive. I think it probably costs them money in the long run. So
Probably.
I think if they had it their way, they would do away with the service altogether. But let's get into the meat of the show, and we're going to talk about 2 tablets that have actually intrigued us since April when they were announced by Sony, and that is the S1 and S2. So I believe you got the specs on those.
I sure do. For the S1, you've got a 1 gigabyte RAM, 9.4-inch touch screen, 1 gigahertz NVIDIA dual-core processor, dual cameras, of course. It's 3G as well as 4G Wi-Fi capable, HTML, XHTML, and Flash. It's going to be running Android Honeycomb, HDMI out, Wedge Style, and the S1 has Wi-Fi only. With your S2, you're running a 3.0 Android Honeycomb. You'll have 2 5.5-inch screens, 2 1024 by 480 pixel displays, 1 gigabyte of RAM again, the NVIDIA Tegra 2 processor on the S2, book style layout, and again Wi-Fi and 3G as well as 4G compatible over AT&T's network for the S2. As of right now, both the price and the release date for the S1 and the S2 are unknown. It is PlayStation certified, and it's compatible with Cairo City Music and video service.
And just one correction there, and it's probably my fault. The S1 is actually a Wi-Fi only device, so unfortunately no 3G, 4G for that. My feelings on these, I'm a lot more excited about the S1 than the S2. I like the fact that it's a wedge style, so it should make it a little bit easier to hold. And one thing that we do know, this is Sony, okay? And what's Sony really known for? Making very beautiful devices, and this one is no different. One thing that I'm really intrigued about is this quick view feature that they seem to be making note of. And what this actually does is when you go to a web page, it's actually going to load the images first, and then it's going to load the JavaScript behind that. For those of you who don't know, JavaScript is one of the languages used to build web pages. So it's supposed to give the illusion of your page loading faster. So I think that's just going to be a matter of time whether or not that's actually going to be a service of note. One thing that does kind of bother me is that I do see a lot of places on the internet that are saying this has HDMI out. However, recently the S1 was seen at an event in the UK in a glass display, and it was reported that there was no HDMI out there. If that is the case, I think that's a bit of a misstep by Sony. Overall, though, the S1 seems to be more of a media and kind of casual gaming tablet. It's not going to be something where they're going to try to market it like the RIM playbook and kind of use it for business. It's going to be kind of more the people who get their media on the go. I think that's where they're going to focus. Really, the S2, I'm really not sure how I feel about this. I got, there's the book style layout, as we've said, or the clam style layout. It is going to be more of a portable device. Both of these do have the PlayStation Suite, and Sony has even come out and said this isn't going to be marketed towards hardcore gamers. It's going to be a little bit better than the Xperia Play, I think, but it's nothing that anyone's going to buy a PlayStation Vista. You're not going to not get a PlayStation Vista and get one of these. It's just not going to be the case. And here's the thing, I get the I get the dual display, but sometimes more isn't better, and I think that's the case here. When you have dual screens, what happens is the developers for these apps have to optimize the apps for the display. I think you're going to see apps come out a little bit slower for this device. Not to mention, it really doesn't matter what you do with the device, that area in between the two screens really can't be used for anything. So it kind of disjoints your web experience. You can't really scroll the way that you want to, so I really don't know how I'm feeling about that. The one thing I do like about both of these devices is that Sony has made them DLNA capable, so they're going to be able to share media between other devices around your home, especially the S1, which comes with an IR blaster, essentially turning it into a big universal remote. So I think if they market that right, that might spurn some sales, especially for people who have a lot of Sony devices around the house. Now, before we move into the next segment of the show, I did want to ask you, right now the tablet market is getting pretty saturated. Do you think Sony is coming into this market a bit too late?
Yes, I do think that they've come in a bit too late. This, in terms of the specs, is not that fascinating relative to what's already out there. I don't see anything that is saying we were really working to make sure that our first foray into the tablet market was a trailblazer, or we've looked at all the other tablets that are on the market and said we're going to address all of the things that people wanted that the other tablets didn't have, and this is how we're answering that. Really, Sony's been known for making some quality products. Case in point, their laptops. The Sony Vios were beautiful machines. Unfortunately, what happened is that they created a machine and didn't work at updating it. And I think that this may have the same fate, unfortunately, where it's just too late into a market that's already been overly saturated. People already have other tablets on their mind, and unless you can specifically showcase why this is a tablet that's going to perform better than an iPad 2 or the Xperia or the RIM playbook, you're gonna have a tough market.
Well, I don't know if I agree with all of that. I don't know if they're coming in too late. They're definitely coming in late. I think they wanted to take the time to get it right, and I think what they've done, at least with the S1, is we know what Sony's good at. And I think they've tried to focus their tablet on what Sony is good at. Sharing video, music services. Both of these are going to have access to the Curiosity video service and music service. So I think they got that part of it right. Sony's really known for really making high quality products, and I think the name and their reputation might carry them a bit. Also, the PlayStation brand is a pretty popular brand, despite the fact that it's been under fire lately with everything that they've been going through. I think on name alone, they'll get some sales. I don't see this tablet or any other tablet coming close to the iPad or the iPad 2 here. I mean, the whole tablet market right now just seems like the Matrix Reloaded to me. You've got like the iPad 2, which is Neo, and a whole bunch of copies trying to compete, and they're just not even close. And I think this might be able to, the S1 might be able to make some noise, especially just because of the fact that largely the other tablets out there, when you compare it to the iPad 2, just seemed like a disappointment. You know, we heard all these great things that the Zoom was going to do, and that didn't really pan out. And before that, we heard everything about the Galaxy S Tab, and that didn't really pan out. And you got the RIM Playbook, and you know, we haven't heard much about that either. So I think there's definitely room there. I mean, we know right now that roughly about 82% of the market, the tablet market, is controlled by Apple, and the iPad, we know that. I think there's definitely some room there for some competition, but you just gotta, they've got to come out with a, companies just have to do better. I mean, me and Jamal talked about this months ago. I mean, right now, we're hearing news about the iPad 3, you know, and there's companies out there like Sony that are just coming out with their first foray into this market. So Apple still has the advantage here, but again, I think there might be some room for competition. So for people out there, overall, I think the S1 will be a pretty good tablet, especially if you're into media. The S2, I don't know, not so much. I'm afraid that might be DOA. But let's move on to our final segment of the show. This is actually a new segment for us. It's called Tell 'em Why You're Mad. This is where one of us has a rant about a product or a specific piece of technology, and we just kind of need to give you our info on it. So, Lisa, why don't you just pretend that this is the home of the Whopper? Tell us what's your beef with HTC and your Thunderbolt that you recently purchased.
Oh, good golly. Well, as of July 8th was the attempt by HTC to fix the consistent problems that many Thunderbolt users found. You got this beautiful looking phone, you looked at the specs, you looked at the reviews like I did, and you were told it's a great phone, functionality, it fits well in your hand, and all that's true. Granted, there are certain shortcomings, battery life, whatever. Everybody nowadays has access to a wall outlet or, you know, USB port, so that's irrelevant. Those people who go onto forums just to complain about battery life, they need to get a better job or a hobby or something. That being said, my main gripe was I get this gorgeous phone, and just as I'm starting to become familiar with, you know, maneuvering through the applications and getting things set up to the way I want, is that I have this constant issue of the phone deciding it just wants to turn off. And in some cases, not just reboot, but just completely turn off. Be in your purse. I haven't heard my phone ring in a couple of hours. Oh, it decided to turn itself off. Go to get up in the morning. Oh, no wonder the alarm didn't go off. Good thing I happened to be thirsty at 6:15 in the morning and noticed that my phone was completely black when I bumped up against it. In any event, HTC said that as of July 8th, they were coming up with their second attempt to fix this. Now, I'm not naive. I understand that, of course, being that I got the first model. It's like the people who got the first iPhone. Now, granted, I would have been ticked off just as they were, and justifiably so, once your screen falls out. I mean, that's just completely poor. My problem is that I understand that HTC did the right thing and they tried to update it because, ho-ho, we had some glitches with the phone. What my bigger concern with is the fact that there is this complete disconnect between HTC and Verizon. If HTC is releasing these updates on their own website, Verizon is notifying subscribers that you should automatically be advised of these updates. There's a consistent problem amongst HTC users in that they're not getting these updates. And I'm sorry, but I don't think that anybody out there really reviews their website carriers or the website for their cell phone carrier to see if, is there any updates on my brand new state-of-the-art phone that everybody told me is supposed to perform outstandingly.
I do that all the time. I check it every day because I have nothing better to do.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You just don't. But that's funny. In any event, the point being is that if you're going to make it that it's HTC, no, it's Verizon, have some consistency in the message, because when I call Verizon customer service and they tell me, well, HTC released the update, it's not us, fine, that's correct. They did release the update to you. But the fact that your own technical support doesn't know that these updates are coming and can't notify members additionally is ridiculous, especially when said update was also allowing Verizon to put in their overly annoying little apps of their own, the My Verizon and My Verizon Music and the 18 different apps that they want to put on there, so you get that little red guy, and then all you can think about when you see them is those annoying commercials that they did for years. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
That and they killed your mobile hotspot.
Yeah, and they killed my mobile hotspot, which didn't work right because of the fact that you had so many glitches with my phone turning off. Why would I even bother trying to use that mobile hotspot and, God forbid, shut down an entire city block? But in any event, the updates, I will say, have fixed the issue with the phone shutting off. That being said, it still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I think that HTC should have a record of who bought the phones, at least prior to the update. I don't think that there's a million people who bought Thunderbolts. I just don't, realistically. Maybe 200,000 people overall across the country, tops. I mean, it shouldn't be that big of a deal for you to somehow generate a mass email, especially for those of us who have already registered the phones. If we're going in with defects and advising Verizon that we have issues with the phone shutting down on its own, this decent thing of them to do would be to then forward this information. They can call you all sorts of times and send you text messages about NFL Mobile or your bill's available for viewing. I mean, they have your email address. Hell, they help you set up a Gmail account when you get the phone. Why not work in conjunction with Gmail and send you an update notice that way, so that everybody gets the message and you're not left finding out from your buddy Joe, if you're lucky enough, oh, hey, did you hear? I was looking on the internet and I found out that there's some update that Verizon's doing, or I hit the wrong button on the website. So, I mean, that's pretty much my gripe about it. I could go on, but it comes back to the same point, which is that when we've spent the money to buy your first 4G phone, the least you can do is respect your customer base, and that goes for both HTC and Verizon in terms of figuring out how can we create customer loyalty with the product. Because I'm telling you right now, if you don't fix it, more than just updates, you are going to end up in the foray of RIM and BlackBerry. You will be the storm before you know it, because you do not want to be that phone where you have technical issues, phone short-circuiting, people having to have their hard drives wiped multiple times because they're just knowing that the phone isn't performing right. And what do they tell you to do to fix it? Reset your memory or reset to factory default settings. And then you find out after you do that you have to go back and download all of your apps because not all of them carried over. And you better make sure you wrote down before you did the factory and reset every single app that you had that you actually used, because you'll realize, oh crap, where's that app that I used to have that was my task list? Oh, it's gone. Darn.
Well, it sounds poorly executed on both sides there. It almost sounds like being the owner of a really nice, powerful sports car that keeps stalling. I don't know. But I think that does about wrap it up here for us at the End User Report. You can always follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget, comment and subscribe on YouTube. you have questions, we love emails. That is the end user report at gmail.com. This is Clarence.
And this is Lisa.
Peace.
Bye.